Hi, welcome to Dreams Recycled Expert Series. And today I'm here with Adam Mendler, the CEO of the Velos Group. He is also a thought leader, a writer, an entrepreneur, a speaker, and all-round good egg, probably, right? Hi, Adam. How are you?
I'm great. Excited to be here this morning. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Took a few attempts, but we're here, so this is exciting.
The perils of technology.
I know. So I actually wanted to talk to Adam about something. So as a divorce expert, and obviously dealing with so many divorcees over the years, a lot of people have come to me and said, would I ever get married again? Do I believe in marriage? And when you look at all the statistics of the decline in marriage rate and the kind of stability of divorce rates, I thought it'd be interesting to have a conversation with Adam about where is marriage heading, and should it be more of a business decision than a romantic decision? So what do you think about that, Adam?
Absolutely not. I mean, this is coming from a person who's never been married, so we should obviously disclose our biases at the outset. So I've never been married. By virtue of the fact that I've never been married, I've never been divorced. So I can't say I'm a divorce expert like you are. Although, you know what Mark Twain's definition of an expert is?
No, go ahead.
An expert is an ordinary person from another town. So, an ordinary person from Los Angeles. And so maybe I am a divorce expert, but no, I know very little about divorce, and I know not all that much about marriage from personal experience. But I believe that you should get married for altruistic reasons. You should get married when you find someone who you want to spend the rest of your life with, when you find someone who you want to give everything else up for. And unless and until that happens, don't get married. Don't do it. I feel like too often people get married for the wrong reasons, and they get married not because of the person that they're getting married to, but they get married because of something to do with them.
Right.
And that's at a very high level my overview.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely correct. So and I hate to put you on the spot, but I've spoke to so many divorcees, and one of the questions I ask every single one of them is, I say, were you in love with the person who you married? So we'll play a little game. What percentage do you think say no?
Wow. What percentage of the people who got divorced were actually in love with the people who they married? I'm going to say 25%.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, about 64% of them said they were not in love with the person.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah.
So a third were in love.
Right. But of those 64%, then I say, okay, why did you get married? Like, you don't have to get married. Nobody makes you get married in America, do they? But their reasoning is really interesting to me. And I'm sure you've heard this from your friends. I mean, I have a lot of unhappily married friends, happily married friends, divorced friends, single friends. I mean, we're all kind of trying to figure it out, right? It doesn't matter who you are. Yeah. And their reasons are very interesting to me. So their reasons are things like they dated somebody for so long they didn't know how not to marry them. Right? They didn't want to disappoint another person. They didn't want to disappoint their families or the person's family. They got pregnant, obviously a big one.
Yeah.
They felt like they were getting too old. And if they didn't lock it down now, the window to get married would be gone, which as an older person now, I'm like, wow, that sounds ridiculous. But I can see 20-year-olds thinking that, 30-year-olds thinking that, right? And then it's things like, well, all my siblings were married. I don't want to be left out. It was like everyone else was having a baby shower. Everyone else was getting a house. Everyone else was getting a husband or whatever. And it's just interesting to me that is such a ridiculous peer pressure that we have to get married when we know as a society 53% of us are going to fail anyhow?
You know, again, I'm not the marriage and divorce guru that you are, but all the reasons that you've described anecdotally make perfect sense to me. And unfortunately, I've seen each and every one of those happen to my friends, to people who I know. And I have a very different view. Actually, at my sister's wedding, my sister, who's great, she's phenomenal. My sister looks exactly like me, by the way.
Aww.
And at my sister's wedding, I gave a speech. And one of the things I said at the speech is, you know, now that Rachel is getting married, I won't have to get married because her husband, who's a great cook, can cook for me. And my sister will now have kids that will look like me. So I don't need to get married. So, you know, I was kind of joking, but in actuality, my sister has a kid who's amazing, who I love. My brother has a kid who's incredible, who I love. I love being an uncle. It's been incredible. It's been such a joyous experience for me. And, you know, being an uncle has been so fulfilling and has not made me feel like I'm missing out on the party. On the contrary, it's just made me feel like, you know, get married when it's right for you, when you find the right person. Don't worry about other people, whether it's business or whether it's friendship or whether it's dating. Make decisions that are driven by what's right for you, not by peer pressure, not by what other people are telling you is right for yourself, but based on what you know deep down is the right decision.
Do you see any kind of correlation? I mean, in your business world and your business dealings, I see it in mine. You know, I see more and more women like me, you know, starting companies, being more driven, being more ambitious, etc., and therefore more independent. And so do you think there's a correlation between that and the fact that we don't financially need to get married so much anymore?
You know, I don't know the answer to that question. And I know there's a very big, you're not supposed to say, I don't know nowadays in society, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is that it's a good thing that women are doing what they want to do with their lives and that they're not dependent on having to get married as a way to support themselves. And, you know, I think that if a woman wants to be a full-time mom, great. If I have a friend who wants to be a full-time mom, a family member who wants to be a full-time mom, I'm going to be as supportive as anyone else. If I have a friend or a family member who doesn't want to be a mom and wants to work and wants to focus 100% on her career, no one will be more supportive than me. And actually, in the case of my sister, she's been incredible in that she works for us. So she runs one of our businesses, and she is a full-time, call it entrepreneur, intrapreneur, and a full-time mom. And I'm as supportive as I can be of that. And I'm as supportive as I can be of anyone in whatever it is that they're trying to do. I don't think that there's any one path to success. I don't think there's any one path to happiness. And I think it's really important not to really generalize and just to allow people to figure out what works for them and to be supportive.
No, I think you're right. There is no one size fits all. I mean, we're all very individual. Women come in all different varieties, as do men. We all want different things. And I think you're right. I think there shouldn't be this should be the way you do it. This shouldn't be the way you do it. It's up to you as an individual to figure it out. But the key, I think, in a marriage relationship is making sure that you're figuring it out with someone who's on the same page as you, right?
100%. You couldn't agree with you more.
And so as far as business relationships, what kind of business building relationships kind of have some kind of correlation to marriage relationships? Like, how can you make yourself a better business partner? Because I think a lot of the traits are the same.
Yeah, it's actually a great question. So when I was first starting the Velos group, a mentor of mine was giving me advice. And the advice he gave me was that a business partnership is very similar to a marriage, except more intense. And the person who was giving me the advice at the time was going through a difficult marriage and a difficult business partnership. And, over the years, I can't really compare the two from firsthand experience, but I've gotten to know a lot of other entrepreneurs who have confided in me both about what they've been experiencing with their business partners and what they have been experiencing with their spouses. And I think that just anecdotally, the parallels are absolutely there. The level, I can tell you from my own experience, the level of closeness you have with your business partner is extraordinary. You're in the weeds every day, all day. And you have to have that trust. You have to have that that feel for one another. And if and when that breaks, it has to be built back up. And if it isn't built back up, you're never gonna be there as a company. And it's not surprising that there is an entire industry out there of business coaches that specialize in founder relationships and in coaching through the relationships of business partners. And the skill sets aren't all that different from the skill sets of marriage counselors. So there's certainly a lot of parallels.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think in a business partnership and in a marriage, I kind of equate it to, you have a mountain of thing on a boardroom table, right? And if you think of marriage like this as well, it's very similar. You have a mountain of things on the table. And in your business, there'd be like, okay, especially a small business when you start it with a partner, let's go from there, right? You've got a pile of stuff, and it might be like bookkeeping, marketing, branding, sales, whatever, and it's this big pile. And by the nature of you finding a partner and matching with a partner, you're going to take off the table the things that each of you are better at, right?
Sure, 100%.
And in marriage, we do that the same. We have this big pile of stuff, and it might be like childcare, laundry, finances, whatever, and we take what we're better at. And as you said, when trust is broken in either of those situations, that's worst case scenario. That ends to broken businesses, and that ends in divorce. And so yeah. I think there are a lot of correlations. I think there's a lot of similarities. And being old and cynical as I am, okay, I'm not really, but no, I'm not cynical. But I will say this, when I talk to people about remarrying, or if I coach people in business, like female entrepreneurs who want to start business, I say the same thing. You have to be so careful who you're with. You have to make sure that the pile on the table, you match your skill set, that you both aren't good at just one thing over here and no one's good at this over here. Yeah. Because on a daily basis, that's most of our lives is work. Whether it's in the home, whether it's in our relationship, whether it's at work, that's what we do most. It's not, romantic dates on the beach or spending your, money from your business, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And you bring up an interesting point, and I don't know what the statistics are, but one thing that I've observed is that when it comes to marriages, when you see people who are married for a second time or possibly for a third time, they're looking for different things than they were in their first marriage. And what are they looking for? Well, a lot of it is through lessons learned from the first marriage. You get married once and you have an experience that you're able to draw something from, and you say, okay, well, perhaps these were the attributes that I really wanted and needed from a partner that I didn't get the first go around, that I really need if and when I'm going to get married again. So you bring a certain level of wisdom to any experience when you have gone through it before. I don't know if you want to use the word failed or not, but if it didn't go the way that you would have liked it to go, and then you give it a second shot with some more gray hair. When you're building a business, it's the exact same way. When you look at entrepreneurs who have been successful, very, very, very rarely are they entrepreneurs who are taking their first swing at the plate. It's almost always entrepreneurs who have failed, they've tried, it hasn't worked, and they've learned lessons from their experiences of failure that they've been able to apply to future endeavors. And it's through those lessons that they've been able to do it right the next time and then the next time. And with each experience, you learn more and more until you ultimately, hopefully, are able to figure it out. And that holds true whether it's in marriage or business or both.
No, and that's absolutely true. And it doesn't even matter what part it is. I mean, even if you're dealing with a PR company and you hire the first PR company, you hire the first marketing company, you look for your first sales team member, whatever it is. Unfortunately, sometimes, and with marriage, we don't even know what we need, right?
Yeah.
Until you've had the bad version, and then you realize very quickly that that is not what you need, and so that goes on the pile over there, right? And next time, like you said, you try and figure it out and you do it better.
Yeah, I mean, could not be a better parallel to dating. We've been talking a lot about marriage, which I have zero experience in, but I do have a lot of experience in dating. I actually, shortly before jumping on with you, texted a girl who I used to date and told her that I'm asking her for her opinion on something professionally. We've stayed in touch as friends, and I texted her to ask her for her opinion on something professionally. And I said, you know, you're going to get a kick out of this, but I'm about to get on a podcast as a relationship expert. And she obviously had a good laugh. But
right? Everyone has a different play on it. And I think it's good to talk to single people. It's good to talk to people who have dated and not married. I mean, I'm really interested to hear from you. Okay, if you've dated a lot, I don't need to know how much, but if you've dated a lot, I mean, what's the general consensus out there now? People still want to get married? Do they still want children? Do they not? Do they on the fence, or what's going on?
You know, there's really no one size fits all. I think that a lot of people still want to get married. I think a lot of people want kids, and a lot of people don't. It really just depends. You know, I would say of the girls that I've dated, I really just do not like to generalize. I don't think it's fair to people. It's not fair. But, you know, what I was going to say before is just that I think that even though I don't have a lot of experience or any experience with marriage, I do have a fair amount of experience with dating. And a lot of the lessons you learn from dating are very applicable to the lessons you learn in business. And to your earlier point, one of those lessons being you go out on a date and you spend some time with someone and you quickly observe characteristics about that person that you like or don't like. And you say, okay, well, these are things that I like and these are things that I don't like. And then when you go on the next date, you sort of understand better both what is meaningful to you and it helps you understand not only what you want, but it also helps you understand yourself better.
That's so true. That's exactly what my philosophy is. I tell people all the time. I mean, when you're young, yes, definitely date as well. After divorce, date. I mean, I think that people get kind of caught up on that, oh, I can't go on all these dates. Like they think it's like, you know, borderline inappropriate. But I think it's the opposite. I think you should. I think you should see as many different people as you can be honest with them. That's the main criteria.
Yeah, I agree completely.
And see who you know, because dating teaches you just as much about what you want as what you don't want, right? And they're equally important in the long run.
Yeah, and just to draw a very similar parallel to business, you know, I always tell people one of the best things about interning and getting an internship is that you get to see what you don't want. And most people intern because they think that they're taking what's going to be a stepping stone to their dream job. But in actuality, most internships are a 10 to 12 week window into what you don't want to do for the rest of your life and for the rest of your career. And I know in my own career, I've had a lot of internships, and with each of those internships, I've gotten to experience a different industry, and it's shown me without having to invest 2 years or 3 years what I don't want to do.
Right.
And dating is similar. You get to go out on a date or a couple of dates, and you get to learn about other people and get to know other people and get to know yourself better, and better to make the decision about what you want and what's right for you without making a meaningful investment that you're not ready for and that isn't right for you or for the other party that you're making the investment with, whether it's a company or a marriage.
Don't you think it's interesting that, you know, we go to college, we're overeducated and all these things that we never ever need to know, but there's no education for relationships, and there's no education on what job you actually want and what that is, right? I have 3 children, which is like two too many right now in the summer, just so you know. And you know, I'm watching them go through internships and college and stuff. And there's nobody, you know, obviously me, but nobody like saying to them, hey, you know, you might want to do this, but the reality of that, like one of my sons loves gaming, who doesn't, right? And I'm like, the reality of that, you will be sat in an office, like in a chair on the computer all day, every day, you know, programming. Is that the kind of life you want, right? And if it is, fair play. But it's the same as dating. People don't tell you, okay, they have these fantasies, like, you know, I want to have this man or woman who's got X, Y, and Z, but they don't understand what it would be like to have a man or woman with X, Y, and Z and all the baggage and issues that come with that, or what the reality of that would be, right?
You could not be any more right. I always think about, I often think about just how different the characteristics that I look for and value are today compared to how they were when I was a younger version of myself. And the things that I really cared about back then and thought were important are just so different. And the only way you know that is through experience. And what I was going to say is I have an interview series where I interview a lot of different, really, really interesting, way more interesting than me, real experts. No, I interview, you know, not Mark Twain defined experts. I interview I have interviewed a number of university presidents as part of my interview series. And, you know, I interview athletes and celebrities and, you know, not a knock on your current guest. I think your current guest, I think the world of this guy. But what I will do in my next time I interview a university president is I will ask him or her to try to create a major around relationships. And
I'll teach it.
Maybe you could be the first tenured professor.
Yeah, because I can tell you something. I think I know a lot more about relationships from talking to divorcees than talking to happily married people.
I'm sure. I wouldn't dispute that for a minute.
It's like being the coroner, which is like an awful, awful thing. But somebody said that to me one time. But it tells you you can dissect exactly what went wrong from, you know, when they met, how they were attracted to the person that wasn't correct for them, how it then progressed into not being correct for them. And I like, that's my dream, to go around to universities and talk to college kids and go like, okay, all this like, God knows, algebra, calculus, and all this other stuff, nonsense. This is what you really need to know to have a happy life. Because they say relationship is up to 90% of your happiness level for your lifetime. Right?
That's going to be the first course that you're going to teach. In what university should we try to get you placed in?
UCF. It's right down the street. I love UCF. Go Knights.
Okay. All right. I've actually had the president of the University of Miami in the series.
Oh, very cool.
And,
I'll go there.
a couple of other Florida schools, Florida International University,
Yeah.
but not UCF.
Yeah.
I was a fan of Dante Culpepper, who played at UCF.
Yeah, well, it's an amazing school now. I speak at the business exchange there.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Sounds good.
It's the second or the first biggest college in America now.
You know what? If you can bring me there, I would love to go, if for no other reason than the fact that you were telling me before we got on air that it's 100 degrees right now.
Yeah, you're welcome. Come on over.
And I'm in ice cold Los Angeles where I'm wearing a sweater. So
yeah, no, it's so true. We need to help our kids and next generations. I mean, I don't think you can help every relationship last forever, because there's too many, you know, permutations, too many different people, and honestly, people as they grow, they change. That's never going to stop. Yeah. But what you can do, if given the chance, is you could go back, like I said, with all the statistical facts and figures and say, okay, if you want a healthy, happy relationship, this is where you start, right? This is science. This isn't even like mumbo jumbo. There are stats on all of that, and say, okay, this is where you start. And then you explain all the things that are not healthy, right? Because if you avoid them, your chance of staying married is 66% higher. Right? And so it's just fascinating to me. And I think there is a big correlation between relationships and business. I think it's the same. I notice in my business, like, you know, even the people you're around, right? You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Sure.
Well, that includes your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your business partner, your team members. And so I think that there is. You could probably do an amazing course actually also on literally what we're talking about, the correlations between business relationships and interpersonal relationships, because they're very similar.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And look, it only makes sense that if you follow best practices, you're going to be more successful. So if you follow best practices in a marriage, your marriage is going to be more successful. If you follow best practices when you're playing a sport, you're going to be better at it. Yeah. You know, if you're trying to hit a baseball and you have a fundamentally sound baseball swing, you're going to be a lot more likely to hit the ball and to hit it well. Same thing with running a business. If you're following the right business principles, you're going to be a lot more likely to succeed. So, you know, there is no, as we all know, whether it's a marriage or whether it's a company, there's no playbook to success. So it's not like you can follow a set of rules that will guarantee you that you're going to make it. But if you do things the right way, you're certainly going to increase your odds of making things work.
Right. And wouldn't it be nice just to have that information? I think, like, I mean, I'm not a what if person, but what if somebody had been, you know, at my college saying, hey, look out for this red flag. And then I had started dating whoever that we won't mention. And I'd gone, hey, I recognize that. You know, now it's the time to run. Right. It would be just so much better.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe, you know, we can get your son who's interested in development, software development, and we could build an app around this, and we could use whatever advancements in technology, AI and machine learning and What do you think? We can
Yeah,
gamify it, and
you can. Well, that's what they need, because that's what they relate to the best, right? Healthy relationships, how that, whatever. Okay. And they can put in, my girlfriend did this, my boyfriend did this, and that'll give you 2 paths.
But just imagine if you had what if you had some kind of like wearable? I'm almost thinking that you could wear something on your wrist, and the guy that you're attracted to, who you think is great for you, but in actuality is just terrible for you, it buzzes to the point that you can't actually communicate with him.
Like a shock collar for
a shot. Yes. Yeah.
God, you might be onto something. I bet it would
Are any of your listeners VCs?
Maybe.
What do you think? All right. Any VCs who are listening to this, you know where to find us.
The shock collar for romance. I would save people a lot of pain in the long run, though, right? A short burst of pain compared to a long misery.
Maybe it's just someone who's, interested in helping the social good.
Mm. Yeah, no, yeah, because it would be the, divorce, heartbreak, second most stressful life event after death of a loved one.
Could be a philanthropist.
Yeah, that would too. Okay, well, Adam, you have been lovely, and now it's time for your random questions.
Ooh.
We get to know more about you, because being an expert is fine, but having some fun is good too, right? What's your favorite
Being an expert is fun.
Well, being an expert is fun, but, we're not all just one thing, right?
That's true.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many, many sides to you.
No comment.
Okay. So what's your favorite day of the week and why?
Wow, that's a good one. I like Sundays.
Oh, what do you do on Sunday?
And actually why is Sunday my favorite day of the week? You know what? Sundays are just very relaxing. They've always been very relaxing to me. Sundays have just been, from the time I was a little kid, have been the day of relaxation. And I always played sports. I always hung out with family. I always went to baseball games. It was just a day to really take it easy. And that tradition has held through until today. So,
well, and it's good tradition, right? Because we kind of exert ourselves and you never have a break. So I think it is good to have a break.
Yeah. So I'm going to stick with Sundays. Yesterday, I watched the Angel game. Fortunately, the Angels won. When they lose, Sundays are a little bit less relaxing, but when they win, twice as good.
Okay. Where is your vacation bucket list dream place?
Wow. I actually don't have one. I am happy wherever I am. Take me wherever, and it's all about the people that I'm with and the experiences that I'm experiencing. With that said, point me somewhere hot.
Orlando. Yeah, well, Orlando's hot, and I don't know if that would be the ultimate. Maybe if you're under 11, probably the ultimate.
Yeah. How about anywhere other than Orlando? No, actually, Orlando. Orlando is my dream destination.
Okay. Well, we might be able to hook you up with Mickey. He lives just
go watch the Orlando Magic, play some basketball.
Yeah.
We just got the Orlando Magic's former coach as our new coach of the Lakers. So,
that's a good thing.
Yeah. So Frank Vogel, Orlando. Okay. Where would I rather be than Orlando?
100 degrees. Okay. If you could be
the sweater.
I know. If you could be anyone for the day, who would you be? They can be alive or dead.
Wow. These are good questions. If I could be anyone for the day, who would I be? You know how these are good questions when I keep repeating it, so I have to buy myself time to try to come up with an answer. If I could be anyone for a day, who would I be? Wow.
While you're thinking, I'll tell you. I think
Who would you be?
mine rotates.
Yeah, who would you be?
Mine rotates. But I kind of think I'd like to be Madonna for the day.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Why
like
Madonna?
around, go, I'm Madonna, watch me Vogue. I don't know. She's just really interesting to me. I think she'd be really fascinating. Like,
But then what happens the next day when you're no longer Madonna?
I'd probably be exhausted from being Madonna. But hopefully I would have like taken something from her. She's one of the only, to me, like living iconic people right now.
Yeah. I would like to say that I would want to be, this is not going to be a very fulfilling answer, but I would want to be who's the wisest person in the world today? Who's your friend?
I don't know.
I'll tell you who I'd like to be.
Dead? Stephen
I have a friend. I'll tell you who I'd like
Einstein.
to be. I have a friend named Anush. All right. Anush is the wisest man I know. He's a friend of mine from business school. He is a very wise man. I would like to be Anush for the day because that man has so much wisdom. And I would be interested in understanding what is going on out there, what is happening in the world, what is happening around us. I know I'm on this show as an expert, but just imagine if I could be Anush and have his level of expertise, then I could go on your show and I could bring double the level of insight. And
well, maybe we'll have you and Anush on together with like a tag team next time.
If Anush hears this, he's going to be very embarrassed because he doesn't think he's a real expert, but the man is very wise. You know, no one knows how old he is. He's, you know, very interesting. You know, he may be the son of God.
He may be an alien. That's even more interesting.
I would not call Anush an alien.
A higher life form in that way, not like a scary one.
No comment.
Okay, and our last question, which is really random and you're never going to answer it very quickly.
If it's harder, that was a hard question.
Thank
God I went to business school with Anush.
Yeah. What is your very first memory?
Whew.
I've had some people say they remember being like a year old, which I'm suspect on, but I don't know.
I remember hanging out with my mom and going grocery shopping.
Oh.
I remember that.
And you were what? Probably how old, roughly?
I could have been a year or two old, but
really?
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember going grocery shopping with my mom as a little boy.
That's good. I don't think I can remember before like 4 or 5.
And I called her Debbie for a while.
And her name is Debbie, I hope.
Yeah.
Yes.
I stopped calling her Debbie after a couple of years and started calling her Mom.
Oh, too cute. Okay, well, Adam, you have been a joy. Thank you so much for joining us today for our little rambling session. I mean, I just think anything to do with relationships is really interesting. Everyone has a point of view. Everyone has an opinion, no right or wrong. It's just been great hearing your thoughts. So where can people find you?
So you can find me online at my website. It's just my name, Adam Mendler. So you can go to www.adammendler.com. You can also find me socially at Adam Mendler. So very easy. Just punch in Adam Mendler. That's me. I'm out there. I'm around and look forward to connecting.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Adam. And don't worry if you didn't catch the website, it'll be in the links on all the social media where we post this. So thank you, Adam, and I hope you have a wonderful week.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This was a pleasure. And I look forward to joining you again. Maybe after I've had the opportunity to spend a day as Anush.
And get married. No pressure.
Anush actually... that's a whole nother experience. So Anush has a lot of knowledge about marriage. So you might actually want to have him on your show.
Okay, hook me up with Anush.
This sounds good.
How funny. Okay, thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of the afternoon.